Hey everybody, today I want to kind of revisit inoculating the mushroom logs. So I just did a new set. So this will be the third time that I've did it, and that's what I've got behind me here. So I want to talk about it now that I have more experience with it. So quick little history of it. 2 years ago I did my first logs using sweet gum, and I inoculated them with oysters, and since then I've got several nice harvests. And the next year my youngest sister became interested in it, and so for her birthday, I think it was, we decided to do some more for her in Alabama and cut more sweet gum logs and inoculated them with oysters and shiitakes. And less than 5 months from then she was harvesting mushrooms. And so when we inoculated those logs, I decided to make a video of it so that other people could see it, and it was a complete video of how to inoculate logs with sawdust spawn and the pegs. And it was really well received video. People are still watching it, so I think you guys must be interested in it. So I decided to do a follow-up on that, because now I've did it for the third time and I feel like I've gotten better at it, and there's certain things that I prioritize when I go into the whole process, and I think it'll be useful to anybody that's wanting to try this, or maybe they've already tried it and had some difficulties with it. So I don't want this video to be another step-by-step process with all of the details. The other video was pretty detailed, and it takes you through the whole process every little piece at a time, but I want this to be more for the highlights. But right quick, I do want to point out the major steps in this so you sort of see where I'm going with it. First thing, obviously you got to cut the trees and cut the logs. Second thing is you're going to drill holes. You're going to either put sawdust spawn into those holes or the peg spawn, and once you have that in there, you're going to seal it off with wax. And last, you're going to take the logs and put them somewhere like here that's shaded and is just a good environment for the mushroom spawn mycelium to run. First things first, you have to cut the logs, so respect the chainsaw. I always do. I'm always try to be as careful as I can with a chainsaw, but this time the wind shifted on me and had a few difficulties. Wasn't no big deal. I got the trees cut up. This is not ideal at all, but always pay attention to the wind when you're cutting these things. This thing is practically cut all the way through. I notched it and cut it right. It's supposed to go this way, and it's wanting to go that way. Second of all, think about, you've got to get these logs out of the woods. Now, sometimes you may be able to get an ATV or even a truck back in there to where you've cut the trees. That wasn't the case for me. Luckily I was close enough by the road that I carried them out, but this is the butt cut. This is like the biggest cut right here on top, and it was a little bit of a job getting that out of there. Fine, it was a good workout, but keep that in mind. You have to get these logs out of the woods more than likely to get them to electricity so that you can carry out the rest of the process. Now that I've got the logs back to where I'm going to work on them, the big thing that I feel like I've failed on every time is getting a good workstation. And you know, usually by the end of the process my workstation has got to where I needed it, but it would have been so much better if I just already had it set up. So This time I propped it on a trailer because it was in the shop where I had electricity and everything. I actually decided to use a little camp stove to heat my wax, and when I was beating on the logs, putting in the spine or the pegs, the wax fell off and I spilled an entire pot of wax and wasted it. But ideally I would have 2 sawhorses, electricity available. If I was going to use something like a camp stove that wasn't that stable, I would have a table or something there that I could put it on. This time I wound up using a stump later on. But just like with any other job, if you have a good workstation, it makes the whole workflow go a lot better. So I want to talk about the equipment right quick. There's not a lot of equipment involved, and the first time I did this, I did not have the adapter that goes onto the side grinder and the little bit with the stop on it. And so I did my first logs that are laying over here. I did those with a cordless drill and just put a piece of tape to measure the depth, and it worked. I got mushrooms out of that, but it was really slow. If you can at all afford that adapter kit and the bits with the stops, it's well worth it. It's going to last you a long time if you plan on doing this over and over, which I do. Get that. It's a total game changer. So now I want to get to the part where you actually have the logs sitting on the workstation. You're going to drill the holes, put in the spine, and wax over the holes. And as far as drilling the holes, you can do several rows at one time with the log in one position without having to roll it. So I can probably get half of the rows in drilled, roll it over, and get the other half drilled. And usually I will have all of the holes drilled before I ever put any of the spine in the hose, and have all of the spine in the hose before I put any of the wax on that one log. And so here's the part where I've tried to save time in the past, and I realize that it's better just to go one row at a time. And that's with when you're using the plunger to put in the sawdust spine. With the pegs, it's not such a big deal. You can do several rows at a time and it's not that awkward. But I would rather have one row pointed straight up on the log to where I could use my inoculating tool. So now I got everything in there. I need to just take my syringe, stir it around, mix it up real good, and pack stuff in there. You can see. It's just so much better. You get a better pack in there and everything. And then on the last step where you actually wax it, the wax is melted obviously in the pot and it's a liquid. And so with all of the holes on that one row pointing straight up, it's just a whole lot better. You get a better finished product, and it turns out to be faster. Have them pointed straight up, and you put the wax in there, and the wax just goes straight down into the hole and fills it in. If you try to do it like you're trying to get a row that's over here on either side, because you can see them and they look easy to get to, the wax is just going to run down the log, and you're going to have the upper side of it more than likely that doesn't get completely sealed off. So you really don't save any time by trying to do multiple rows at a time, especially with the wax part. And that's, from moving forward, that's going to be one of the big ones for me. This is the #1 tip that I want you guys to take from this video. And it'll probably sound obvious to you when I say it, and it should have been obvious to me, I guess, but it wasn't. And that is, instead of doing this by yourself, solo, if you can just get one other friend to help you, it's so much better. It's so much more fun. Even if the other person doesn't care anything about the mushroom logs, I guarantee you by the end of the process, they will be totally into it. If not for the mushrooms, just the job itself and trying to think what move to make next. It's almost like playing a game to see how efficient you can get at it. And it's just so much more fun, like I said, with 2 people. So after doing this for 3 times, this is the pointers that I have for you that I've picked up along the way, and they've become more and more obvious to me. And the next time that I do this, I'll probably be faster and more efficient and probably enjoy it more. And for real, if you guys want to do something that's just really fun and you're into growing your own food and you like mushrooms, this is almost like the world's coolest science experiment. If you had kids especially, just to see that first flush come out. I have a video of the first flush that I had, and I was basically the little kid there. And every time I get a new flush, it's just like the same level of excitement. It's just really neat to watch that biology take place from start to finish. So, one more thing, and I did not mention, this time when I did the logs, I did the shiitakes again. But I tried one new species, so that's going to be pretty fun, and it's Nameko. If I'm pronouncing that right, I don't know. I've never even tried that type of mushroom. I'm sure I'll like it, but we'll see. So that's another level of fun added to the whole process. I guess that's enough for now. I've kept y'all on here for a minute, but I appreciate y'all watching, and y'all be good. Bye.